to echo the Sheriff's sentiment. Certainly we appreciate reading with Church and Mr. Gunner for putting this together. I'll make my remarks brief because certainly we have plenty more folks to speak, and when we keep going to the same information. Cyberbullying, when we talk about it from a legal standpoint, comes into play in statute, in the bullying statute, which is 1006-147. And people have some misconception of what is not bullying, and we do get calls from people saying, my child's being bullied by this child and I want you to come and arrest him. Well, when you look at the bullying statute itself, it defines bullying and it explains that it is a prohibited act, but it's not a criminal charge of bullying. We can't go out and arrest somebody for bullying, quote unquote. What that lays out is the reporting methodologies, the fact that the school districts have to have procedures and investigative processes in place and interventions. So there's a way to capture those situations that are going on in schools and involving school-age children and deal with those things so school is a safe place to be. That being said, there are criminal statutes that closely mirror that, and there are also components of bullying in and of itself that are criminal. Oftentimes you'll have threats, you'll have batteries, you'll have thefts, things like that. They come into play, and those things are criminal. So certainly we work very closely with the schools in the reporting and the investigation of those, and also lend a lot of assistance with providing us some background and context of maybe some things going on in the families and what have you. But when we talk about stalking is a criminal charge, cyber stalking is a component of that as well, and it's important to understand that's very, very similar to the bullying statute. So to go from bullying to a criminal charge of stalking is a very, very short trip. And we try to encourage young people to realize that if the person that you're bullying is under 16, it's a felony. That's just simple stalking. If it meets the stalking criteria, again, they're very closely mirrored with bullying. And if you start making threats or what's considered credible threats, it's automatically a third-degree felony, and then it just kind of goes on from there. And not to mention, you can say something to somebody on the bus, you can say things back and forth and banter back and forth when you have an argument, but when you put something in writing and it has to do with causing harm to someone or their family, that in and of itself could very well become a felony. So there's a lot of very serious criminal charges that come out of bullying, and we try to approach that with the students, and part of the interventions that the school board puts into place and trying to make it as safe as we can is using the SROs to go in and intervene and actually sit down with some of these young people and say, look, you're on a very short path to some very big problems. And it doesn't go away, and you can listen to all your friends and say you're a kid and nothing's going to touch you, and that's not true. And we certainly try to reinforce that as much as we can. But moreover, we realize the fact that bullying and cyberbullying and all the other things that are stressors in the lives of the young people that we deal with every day are compounded by the fact that the internet is there, and it's not like an argument you have with somebody, or you go back and you punch it out, on the schoolyard back in the old days, and your friends by the end of the day. You put that information out there, regardless of what your motive is, or regardless of what you meant to say, or whatever. But as nasty and venomous as it is, once it's on the internet, it's there, and it's there forever, and it's just going to go on and on and on until somebody somewhere brings it to your attention. And unfortunately, you can't bring it back at that point. One of the big things now is Instagram. Their big claim is that you can send this picture and whatever comments you want and distort it however you wish to, and it goes to whoever you send it to, and it just disappears. I have some serious doubts that that's true, because it seems like those things just resurface in the most inconvenient times. But one of the important things about bullying, cyber stalking, whatever we want to call it or couch it, is the fact that kids are hurting other kids, adults are hurting kids. We're doing and saying a lot of things that are just creating another stressor on these young people that they don't need. And what we find is even the bullies oftentimes are going through issues that they're trying to compensate for. And when we start looking at some of the root issues and root problems, we're finding they're just as susceptible to suicide and some of the other terrible things like self-medicating, getting involved in drugs and substance abuse as the people that are bullying. So the importance is reporting. And we've tried to make that as easy as possible. And that's as easy as you can go to Crime Stoppers. You can, and this is in every kid's handbook. It's all over the schools. There are cards out in the foyer. I suggest you take some, as many as you'd like. You can text, you can email, you can call, be completely anonymous and report bullying. You can report criminal activity. And one of the things we're working very closely with Crime Stoppers and our kids in the schools is encouraging them, if you know somebody you think is at risk of suicide, you can call, text, or email that information. That comes right to us, and we'll act on it as quickly as possible. There's no reason why we can't encourage folks to step up to the plate. And if you know that somebody's at risk for suicide, or they're hurting in some way, or shape or form, we need to know that. If it fits into the nice box of a statute or what have you, that's wonderful. But the reality of it is, we need to address that. We can't let it go on and on. One of the privileges I have working with the Sheriff's Office, I'm also the commander of the hostage negotiation team. And I can tell you the challenge it is of trying to build a relationship with somebody in 30 minutes to 2 hours and pull them with the brink of suicide, especially when you got a SWAT team in tow. It makes it a little more of a challenge. But it's so much easier to have somebody tell you, this person's going through some hard times, I'm very concerned about them, they're not acting right, they're self-medicating, they're getting involved in drugs, they're doing things that they wouldn't normally do. Let us know about that. The school's set up to work very closely with us, and we'll do everything we can to try to address that and not have to go through lighting more candles on the table at this church ever again.